we watched The Host, and I had some mixed feelings about it partway through. I had to watch it in parts while I was doing some other things. And before we begin, I think it's important we say that at the beginning of the movie, where the guy dumps just an unholy amount of formaldehyde straight into the Han River, that's real. That really happened back in 2000, and it was such a big deal because the American consulate or whatever it may be didn't allow them to persecute the man. So while we haven't seen any sea monster as of yet, it's wild because of all the buried nuances in the trivia section, that one was just this really happened. And I think that's kind of wild. I'm apparently working my way through Bong Joon Ho's filmography, and I've said his name about 10 different ways and filmed this exact part of the video about 10 different ways, so hopefully this is the one that makes the cut. But I gotta say, it does feel like a weird case of Mr. Doesn't Miss. Snowpiercer? Banger. Parasite? Banger. It's pretty fire. I'm not gonna lie. Again, halfway through, I was thinking about a 6. And there's just a lot going on throughout the movie. From grandpa, son, other son, Olympic daughter, granddaughter. There's just a lot of moving parts, and it's very different from what we've seen in either just this genre of monster movies, horror movies, etc. That, I don't know, I just didn't think it had the sauce. And as time went on, it didn't really finally cook all together until basically the end. And it really does. It really all tiles together almost perfectly. I didn't think it could go from a 6 at the 85% mark of the film, where I was when I thought that. And boy, if that ain't a 9. Definitely worth a watch. I would go out of my way. It is a perfect reason why every B movie you've ever seen could use just a little bit of pepper in the writing, or maybe a couple extra shots to really tie it together. This movie's great, and I say that as somebody who basically hates the way that monster looks, because R.J. Palmer on Twitter has taught me to hate odd ones that don't match, like anatomy and stuff. But boy, was that pretty great. Ye sail good, or whatever this one says. I know I said goodbye, but I do think it's super wild that Bong Joon Ho has such a diverse catalog that, it's easy to look at anybody and go, oh, there's a little bit of horror and then some action movies, or, they accidentally hired that horror guy to do the Flash movie and that was bad. But boy, if Mickey 17 isn't the furthest thing from Host or Snowpiercer, that you could say they're all anti-capitalism films to a degree or to an extent, but I don't know. I've never seen the pro-capitalism film that, wasn't satire. That's all. That's all I got for you. I'm gonna watch Death of a Unicorn later today. Hopefully, 8.